We begin with new information. The council assigned to find strategies to boost Michigan's population held its final meeting today. The Growing Michigan Together Council voted 19-1 to submit its population growth report to Lansing. Recommendations are revitalizing education, establishing the state as an innovation hub, and creating communities that attract young talent. Council members had praises and criticisms at the meeting.
I think the set of recommendations is a healthy balance of accountability and support through more equitable and stronger levels of funding.
Unfortunately, I also disagree with a lot of things that have been recommended, and I believe that many of them are already being done by our government in some capacity, or they are able to already do without legislation.
None of the 20 voting members represent the UP. You can find out more on the council's recommendations at uppermichigansource.com or the TV6 and Fox UP mobile news app.